Welcome to OilfieldUniversity.com podcast.
Welcome to Oilfield University Episode 5, The Traveler. I'm your host, Greg Williams. This week we'll be covering traveling and how this relates to you either domestically or internationally. First, let's run through the normal material here. Copyright. The material that's broadcast on this podcast are copyright of Oilfield University, Technics LLC, and myself. Any conflicts of interest with this show can be sent to content@oilfielduniversity.com. We can share some dialogue about the differences of our opinions, and we may be able to enlighten one another. Live chat. You can chat with us live during podcasts. Go to our homepage, click on live, on air icon, and just below the streaming video, there'll be a place for you to log in for the session. We are also on iTunes now. Just type Oilfield University into your search bar in the podcast area and listen to us anywhere in the world that you like. We'll share some news for this week, as well as we've added the internet radio. You can go to our homepage and there's a digital player. You just select internet radio. Has all of our past shows. Just click to listen. It's a great tool. And then visit our website for the Kids of the Oilfield series. We'll be adding Skype Connect for live calling broadcasts, mostly in the U.S., as it doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot of for us here in remote areas. It's the power or the internet is always an issue. So we'll try to keep our live sessions based in U.S. where we have a good stream feed. This last week we added Snapchat and Twitter to our social toolbox. So go on there. You can check that out and add us to Snapchat as well as connect with us on Twitter. We'll be putting together some cool gear for our listeners and fans to purchase in the near future under the OU gear section. And we're still working on our driller's toolbox every day. There's a lot of information that'll be going into that. That'll be a database for all you guys to go in, or girls, and download any information that you may need to do your job from day to day. You see down on the bottom of our homepage and most of our other pages on the website, all of our social media is there. You got Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, OilPro, Twitter, Snapchat. So just share the love and like us up, add us, whatever else we have there to explore the social realm of media. You can send us some emails or comments at content@oilfielduniversity.com, and we will get back with you as soon as we can, as well as any material you'd like to hear on the show, and feel free to drop us a line. So for this week in oil and gas history, November the 23rd, 1951, the first Superman movie features the world's deepest oil well. Public fear of the risk of drilling too deep highlights the theatrical release of Superman and the Mole Men. The 1951 movie, which earns good reviews, features newspaper reporters Clark Kent and Lois Lane traveling on assignment to the fictional town of Silsbee, home of the deepest well in the world. The National Oil Company is making news at its Havenhurst Experimental No. 1 drilling site. The drill bit has broken into clear air at 32,742 feet. Good heavens, that's practically to the center of the earth, Lois exclaims. In fact, the deepest U.S. well in 1951 reached 20,521 feet. Pretty cool. November the 23rd, 1953, the world's first LPG ship. LPG, for the ones that don't know what that stands for, is liquefied petroleum gas. This ship goes into service in 1953 for Warren Petroleum Corporation of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Sends one of the kind, Natalie O. Warren, from the Houston Ship Channel terminal at Northworthy, Texas, to Newark, New Jersey. The vessel has an LPG capacity of 38,053 barrels in 68 vertical pressure tanks. The equivalent of about 339,000 standard gas grill LP tanks. The ship is the former Cape Diamond dry cargo freighter converted over a 5-month period by Bethlehem Steel Yard in Beaumont, Texas. November 25th, 1875, Continental Oil brings kerosene to the West. Convinced that he can profit by purchasing bulk oil in cheaper eastern markets, Isaac Blake forms the Continental Oil and Transportation Company. He will soon bring Ohio kerosene to Ogden, Utah for distribution. Continental purchased 2 railroad tank cars, the first to be used west of the Mississippi River, and began shipping kerosene from a Cleveland refinery. The company quickly grows, expanding into Colorado in 1876 and California in 1877. Standard Oil Company absorbs Continental Oil in 1885. Following the 1911 breakup of Standard Continental Oil, will reemerge and continue today as ConocoPhillips. November 27, 1940, Gas by Edward Hopper exhibited in New York. Edward Hopper's painting, Gas, exhibited by the Whitney Museum of American Art in New York City in 1940. Hopper began painting the painting Hopper began the painting a month earlier. Ed is about to start a canvas, an effective night on gasoline station, noted his wife. Critics praise Hopper's work and suggest that Gas, with its commonplace mobile gas sign, anticipates Americans' pop art movement that comes a decade earlier. The work also includes the flying Pegasus logo of Mobil Gas. November the 27th, 1941, Oil Queen of California dies. Miss Emma Summers, once known as the Oil Queen of California, dies at the age of 83 in Los Angeles. 40 years earlier, the San Francisco Call newspaper described Miss Summers as a woman with a genius for affairs. It may sound paradoxical, but the fact exists. If Miss Emma A. Summers were less than a genius, she could not, as she does today, control the Los Angeles oil markets. Summers graduated from Boston's New England Conservatory of Music and moved to Los Angeles in 1893 to teach piano, but soon caught oil fever. With her home not far away from where Edward Doheny had discovered the Los Angeles City Field just a year before, Summers invested $700 for half interest in the well just a few blocks from Doheny's. Summers' first 14 oil wells came in as producers and launched her dominance in the Los Angeles oil field. November 28, 1892, first Kansas oil well taps Mid-Continent field. The Norman No. 1 well erupts in 1892 in eastern Kansas, the first major oil well west of the Mississippi River. Just 832 feet deep. The well reveals the vast Mid-Continent producing region, which includes 5 states. Immediately following the discovery, a sample of the oil is sent to the more experienced oilmen of Pennsylvania. It proved that Nidosha had the riches of oil and gas in their backyard, making the area the richest bed of prehistoric decay, explains Nidosha's Oil Museum. Abandoned in 1919, the Norman No. 1 remained overgrown along the banks of the Verdigris River until 1961, when a replica of the original derrick was erected on the old well site as a memorial. This is noted by the Kansas Historical Society, which adds the Oil Museum is a fitting recognition of Norman No. 1's importance as one of the most significant oil discoveries in U.S. and Kansas history. So that's all for our oilfield history for the week. We'll go into our rig count for the week from Baker Hughes. The U.S. drilling rig count dropped 13 units to 744 rigs working, despite the shortened week ended November 25th due to the Thanksgiving holiday in the U.S., according to Baker Hughes Incorporated data. The new total in the lowest since April 5th, 2002, and down 1,173 year over year. Since August 21, the overall count has fallen 142 units after a short-lived summer rebound. 10 units went offline during the week ending November the 20th. Also down 10 units last week, oil-directed rigs lost 9 units this week to 555, their lowest level since June 4, 2010, and down 1,017 year over year. Since August 28, the oil-directed total has fallen 120 units. Gas-directed rigs relinquished 4 units to 189. Land-based units declined for a 14th consecutive week, dropping 12 units to 713, down 1,138 rigs year over year. Rigs engaged in horizontal drilling plunged 12 units to 569, down 802 year over year. Directional drilling rigs again decreased 3 units to 66. Offshore rigs were unchanged at 30. Rigs drilling in inland waters halved to only 1 unit. Canada, meanwhile, shot up to 18 units to 184, which was still down 254 rigs year over year. Most of the rigs that came online this week target oil, up 14. That count is now 81. Gas-directed rigs gained 4 units to 103. So this week in our oil prices, we've got crude oil Brent is sitting at $42.02. It is down $2.64 from the November 21st broadcast. Crude oil WTI, West Texas Intermediate, is sitting at $45.02, is up $3.56 from our November 21st broadcast. Natural gas, $2.21. It is up 6 cents from our November 21st broadcast as well. Crude oil futures fell on Friday as the U.S. dollar index hit a fresh 8-month high. This is from Reuters, adding more pressure to an already oversupplied bearish market. Strength in the greenback, which means oil more expensive for holders of the other currencies, joined with negative sentiment that kicked off earlier in the day due to disappointing Chinese economic data. There's a dollar strength and a sell-off across all commodities, said Cosmer Bank analyst Karsten Fricht. Some other news around the world. This is from World Oil. Wood Group lands $90 million contract in Iraq. Wood Group has won a new contract worth approximately $90 million to deliver services to one of the blue-chip international oil companies in Iraq. Wood Group will provide project management for an onshore facility under the 3-year contract, which is effective immediately. Concept and feed work for future projects will also be included in the contract. This also creates more than 100 new positions and retains 20 jobs. Personnel will be based in Wood Group offices in Iraq and Dubai. Another bit of surprising news, this one coming off the heels of the big lease sale in Canada. Suncor may scrap oil sand bid if a $4.5 billion offer is delayed. Suncor Energy Incorporated said it may scrap its $4.5 billion hostile bid for Canadian Oil Sands Limited if Alberta regulator endorses a poison pill that would give the target company more time to find other bidders. There's a very real and distinct possibility that the Suncor offer will not be extended beyond the expiry of the 60-day permitted bid. The Calgary-based company said in a submission to the Alberta Securities Commission. The Commission will hear a plea by Suncor in Calgary Thursday to strike down a so-called poison pill adopted by Canadian Oil Sands last month. The shareholders' rights plan would give it 120 days to weigh other offers, doubling the duration of the rights plan it had in place when Suncor made an offer that expires December the 4th. Suncor, Canada's largest oil producer by market volume, is seek to take advantage of the oil slump to expand. Canadian Oil Sands is the largest owner of the Syncrude mining project in northern Alberta. Both companies are cutting costs after crude tumbled about 60% since the middle of 2014. Aker Solution wins a BP contract for work offshore Norway. They won a framework agreement to provide maintenance and modification services at BP-operated oil and gas fields offshore Norway. The contract has a fixed period of 5 years valued at as much as 3.2 billion. It also contains options to extend the agreement by as many as 4 years. The accord starts on December the 1st, 2015 on expiration of an existing agreement for similar services. This contract was won in stiff international and national competition and will help secure jobs on the west coast of Norway, as well as provide crucial support for our development of operations further north, said Pierre Harold Kongoff, head of Aker Solutions in Norway. We're very pleased to continue our strong partnership with BP on the Norwegian shelf. You can read these as well as other news on our energy feed at www.oilfielduniversity.com. As we've said before, we're broadcasting out of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I'd like to take just a minute and thank our listeners for tuning in. As always, we would hope that this is somehow educational for you, as well as possibly learning a bit about what we do and what we're up against in the industry. So yeah, on with the show. So the Traveler. We'll be talking about some domestic oilfield travels in the continental U.S., Canada, Gulf of Mexico, and foreign destinations overseas by major airline providers. So if any of you guys or girls out there have ever done a Google search on traveling overseas for oil and gas jobs, you probably won't find much out there other than some comments in Yahoo Answers or a guide that someone wants to sell you or something of this nature. On the U.S. land traveling side, if you're lucky, you've landed a job close to where you live that'll allow you to come and go at the end of or beginning of your tour. If you do have a family, wife and children, etc., be prepared not to spend much time with the children in the afternoons based on what their bedtime schedule actually is. You'll be lucky to catch dinner if you have a good wife or girlfriend or spouse. She will put you a plate back, or he will put you a plate back in the microwave and save you some. You will be up traveling before the roosters, and the only thing that'll be on the road is truck drivers and patrol cars when you head to work. To kill some of that driving time, keep a good selection of music on hand, or you can even turn us on the internet radio and listen to us for your drive. If you've landed a 7 days on, 7 days off rotation, sometimes it's better to stay 1 or 2 nights actually at the rig accommodations if they've been provided by the company on site. The accommodations are usually a mobile trailer that's carried from location to location for the crews to stay in that are far away from home. Some small drilling contractors only provide hotel rooms when they're moving the rigs or rigging up, so be prepared to travel from home on these days. The main thing is be aware of how tired you'll get during these periods and think about your personal safety. As I said before, I'm from a small town, and there's been multiple deaths from drilling hands that were tired, either coming from work or going to work in vehicle accidents. If you're working a reduced crew and schedule 8 days on and 4 days off, may as well bet on staying for 1 or 2 nights with the rig crew. This is due to the schedule change. You'll spend more money in fuel driving back and forth than you would working 7 on and 7 off, just due to the amounts of trips that you will make in a 1 month period. If anyone has ever worked the 8 and 4 before, then you'll understand when I say that you never seem to actually get into a schedule. When you go on 4 days off, it's basically taking the weekend off from a normal job, but you never have the same days off. Weekend here, sometimes they land, during the week. Easiest thing to do is go to our website and download the calendar and set out your schedule accordingly. This way you don't make the wife or the significant other mad when you can't plan your business. So regardless of the schedule that you're working, you want to pack a bag with a change of clothes and any personal items you may need if you're forced to stay for any unforeseen reason. You also want to bring a spare bag for your dirty clothes that you may have to wear on the rig. You don't want to use the bag that you keep your good clothes in, because the diesel smell does not wash out in short notice. Trust me. One of the toughest things to do is drive these long distances. So if you're out there and you're driving 20 plus hours to get to a location, you may think about looking at the cost of a ticket and someone to meet you and take you to the location. It may be cheaper than the gas as well as the wear and tear on your vehicle, but you will need to make sure that you have enough food to get you through a few days. I'm sure the guys that are working with you, someone will live closer and be able to run back and forth to the store for supplies. Most of the tool pushers all have rental trucks, and I'm sure they'll help you out if you ask nicely. There are plenty of options out there, and normally the crews already have something lined up, and it's just a matter of you kind of fitting into the slot that they've already kind of built over the working period. So if you're flying within the domestic U.S. to a town or a city and then driving out to a location, you want to check any and all reservations the day before you depart, airlines and car rentals. Just give them a call to confirm that they have been, they've been reserved. If they haven't been reserved by you, that is. Sometimes you'll find that even the best coordinators or administrators do make mistakes, and you could possibly be stranded for lengthy times waiting on a call to your office. You can go ahead and rent these on your own if you like and fill it back on the expense, but make sure that you've had a discussion with your manager prior about charges that can be claimed back to the company. Also, it's a good thing to log on to your airline provider's website and create a profile. You can put your ticket information in there, and you can choose where you'd like to sit on the plane. Good advice is to pick a seat closer to the front of the plane if the trip is a bit longer, as you can be the first one off and beat the rush of people behind you. Currently, there's no way to see who you'll be sitting next to on the plane. Hopefully, as the future moves along, we will magically be able to see who we're sitting next to. The seats next to the window are made for small people, and the middle seats are made for shorter people and babies. This is just a tip. I don't think anyone out there wants to sit in a middle seat that has a choice. You will most likely have been told what to pack or to take with you from your team members or by an HR representative of the company. But here's just a few helpful tips. You want to pack enough clothes to work and relax with. Once you arrive there, I'm sure there'll be a place for you to store your first initial supply of work clothes so you don't have to transport these back and forth. In the following trip, you can just bring your personal effects for the week or whatever your schedule may be. Oh, and don't forget your valid state ID. You'll need that checking in. You may also want to print your ticket out, or alternatively, you can use the iOS option or Android options and have them available through an app you can download on your phone from the airline service provider. This app will also connect you with your frequent flyer account, and you can have a multitude of options available. It'll alert you when there are delays. It'll show you when you have been upgraded to another class of seating if you requested it. It will show your mileage balance, and there are additional options such as airline contact numbers and ways to use your miles, etc., etc. If you only have a carry-on and one article such as a backpack or a purse, you can speed the check-in process up by 5 to 10 minutes easily. If you have checked bags, then you'll have to weigh each one of these, and they'll place a tag on it. Make sure the tag is marked for the final destination and not somewhere in, let's just say, Panama City, unless you're going to Panama City, that is. Most flights will provide water or something of this nature. If not, then you can stop and grab a small bottle of water just past the security before you board the plane. Good rule of thumb is to always check the flight provider's website on all of these items, such as baggage weights, security measures, such as removal of certain clothing. There's also a place on the TSA or Travel Safety Administration site where you can type into a box, "Can I bring blank?" and it will search and tell you if it's acceptable or not to bring. We may do a podcast on just using that box and putting in some funny stuff to see what it comes back with. Sounds like a good way to waste some listening hours. If you're lucky enough to be a TSA pre-check, if you travel a lot, then you most likely are, but you wouldn't be listening to this. And certain measures apply to only you as far as being a TSA pre-check, such as not removing your shoes or laptops or etc. But the website will tell you all of this stuff. We're going through security. There are things you don't want to say to the guy that's standing behind the booth with your stuff going through there. Even if they seem a bit rude in their mannerisms, you do not want to be the person that gets pulled out of the line for being different because of the things you say. We're all grown-ups, and I'm sure that you understand what I'm saying. Some words are hot words for them. Anything to do with explosives, anything to do with terrorism, etc., etc. Again, you don't want to be that person that seems different than others, so try to blend in. You want to make sure you before you depart that your spouse or significant other has any emergency contacts or the ones that they have are up to date. Many times we all fly or travel without emergency information correct, and it's a good rule of thumb to give this some consideration before departing. When you land and grab your checked bag, if you check the bag, there'll be plenty of taxis waiting on you outside. Grab the first one and head to your hotel. If you're a field service rep from a company and it's a rig down situation, be prepared to go straight to the dock and board a vessel or to the heliport to board a helicopter. If you're a service rep, then this should determine what kind of bags that you have packed before departing your home location. Helos can carry only so much weight, and you need to check on this prior to departing your home country. You may find when you arrive to the vessel that your bags have been placed on the cargo vessel and they won't be with you until the next day. Be mindful of this so that you can get that rig back up and running in the least amount of time. So you worked a while on land or in the water close to your home, and now you're ready to go international. It has its good points such as traveling, seeing new things, and going new places. It's exciting when you first get started, but the glamour wears off later, especially if you're staying in one place for an extended amount of time. So with your international travel, this one's just a bit trickier. If you're a first-time traveler to any destination other than your home destination, you will need a passport from your home country. Of course, this is common knowledge to most people, but what's not common is the requirement for work visas in countries you may be working in. There should be a representative within your company that's educated in these affairs and should take care of this for you. But if there's not, then here's some tips. Search the web on the place you'll be working. Look at their government website and see if your country needs a visa to enter, or can it be attained on arrival, or VOA, visa on arrival. You may find that you will need something prior to coming into the country. Some countries won't issue you a visa if you don't have a certain amount of pages in your passport. Example, if you're working in two different countries, say the location is in one country and you're staying in another country, these are rare circumstances in which this would happen, but it's feasible and possible. So that means you'll have to pass through that checkpoint 2 times a day. So you will get an entry stamp and an exit stamp. It won't take long to burn up through a ton of passport pages. So be prepared. Here's an interview I had with Mr. James McGee, Operations Engineer with Vantage Drilling, to shed a bit of light on his international travel and how he gets prepared. So we're here with James McGee, Ops Engineer for Vantage. He's going to share some of the preparation before he travels international, as well as some during travel. So hey man, what do you do? What do you do to get ready before you start traveling international?
Hey Greg, well basically we're at the point now where I leave most of my stuff in country where I currently work. So to prepare for the trip, usually I pack like the same morning that I depart, which is around 11 a.m. local time. Like
Last minute before you get ready to leave for the airport.
Yeah.
So we've done this a few times all over the world for the last couple of years. So going new into country, like not being prepared or not being here at least one time, what do you do normally for that kind of situation?
Yeah, probably pack all my clothes and belongings and everything probably a day in advance. Of course, before that, I would make sure that all the flights are arranged and visas are all good and passports all intact and everything.
Something that we commonly always forget, and even though we all carry phones with us and all of this kind of new devices and everything, but if we hadn't known each other for a certain period of time, or as long as we have, does your spouse have other people's emergency numbers other than the office?
Yeah, she has 1 or 2. Like
mine doesn't.
Yeah.
She has she has you guys' number, or some of the guys I work with number, but of course, her being with the company previously, that gives her access to all of those people. But normally, it's not like something I'd ever done regularly in the past. So there's been trips that I've left and my emergency contacts never been updated.
Yeah.
What about in flight? Besides watching a movie, and what else do you try to do to keep yourself entertained for 9 or 10 hour flights?
Probably the most important thing as far as a flight goes is I try to check in as early as possible. And, through your frequent flyer program, you always have the chance to pick out a seat. I usually try to get a bulkhead seat where I have a little more leg room and stuff. And other than that, I always pack like a water bottle with me, because then they hardly ever give you enough water on the flight. And then
Sometimes I don't know if we want to drink water on the flights.
yeah,
Because I read this article one time about the same place that they put water into the plane is right next to the same place that they drain the black water off the plane. So it's like right next to each other.
yeah.
So yeah,
Doesn't sound good.
No, it doesn't sound good.
Other than that, I always carry me a neck pillow, of course. Some good noise canceling earphones or earbuds. I prefer the earbuds rather than over the ear.
So you can sleep on the pillow with them in your ear.
Better. Yeah. And I always load my iPad up with a few new movies or some TV series, that you can watch.
Do you do that before you actually pack your suitcase before you leave home?
Yeah, I do that. I usually do that like a day or two beforehand. Right. That way, if any of the sinking messes up or anything, I have enough time to correct
So
it.
when you're, what do you normally carry? Like if you're going in the country the first time, you still just carry just a roll-on, or do you or do you check a couple of bags, or what have you kind of gotten accustomed to the last little bit of time? I know other than being here in Point of War, or Congo rather, when we were country hopping there for a year.
Yeah, we're settled here in Congo, so right now I just carry my laptop backpack back and forth with me, with some necessary toiletries and a few other things.
So you don't even bring a roll-on; you just bring a backpack.
Yeah.
Like you're hiking,
Leave
like a hiking trip.
Leave all my office clothes here in the room and stuff. But before that, when we were bouncing from country to country, I would always pack like a roll away carry on bag. And
You never checked a bag before? Very rarely, huh?
A few times.
You ever had any lost luggage the last couple of years?
No.
Never.
Because of that.
No. I could agree with that. I mean, I've been, honestly, I've been checking bags for the last 2.5 years, and I haven't lost a bag, or 3 years, right? I haven't lost a bag yet, but I could see how easy it would be if you had some kind of short connections and stuff like this that they try to hustle and get your bag on, and all of a sudden your bag ends up on another plane that it wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
That's why
it helps you kind of streamline the time at the airport too, like checking in, going through security, and also because you don't have to drop any bags off. And also when I'm returning to the U.S., I went ahead and signed up for global entry.
Yeah.
So I can just go right through global entry, and instead of having to wait like 30 minutes, sometimes 45 minutes at the luggage carousel, I just go straight through.
Right, so you're carrying a backpack now. So
Yeah.
you're global entry straight through with the backpack and you're out.
Yeah.
So you're plane down 10 minutes and you're outside.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. I still don't have global entry yet. And I was saying, that I still check a bag. So, the most large international airports, the bag's like 30 minutes out. Whenever you get off the plane, there's still probably a good 30 minutes before you can even get to your bag when it comes off the carousel or whatever. So people that don't have it, that check bags, it's almost just as good as just. The only thing that I'm finding out now is that some of the airports that we've been transiting through for the last couple of years are changing, like especially in your destination, your home destination, like in Houston, for example. They have now whenever you depart the airport or exit the airport, they've got like these lines and these hoops that you got to go through now. and they have a line just for global entry to go straight out.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's the only thing there that you can go straight out with if you're a global entry. If you're not, and you still have to hand these guys that little blue piece of paper or your little picture that spits out of that automated machine that you gotta like stand in a very odd position to get your face in the camera if you're tall, for it to take a picture of you so you can leave. And have you done? You remember? Did you do that? You remember doing that?
You talking about global entry?
No, not global
Oh.
entry. The original machine where you were coming through doing the passport stuff, where you have to slide your passport into the scanner. You never did. They have the machines in Houston before you moved?
I don't guess so.
Okay, so
They
there's
do have-
machines. There's
I mean,
machines.
that's
There's
the-
automated machines in Houston now
it's the
where you
same
slide
thing
the
with,
scanner on, but you have to like. I'm 6'2", so in the like the camera is like 5'6" or 5'5", and I have to like scoot down and almost like get down on one knee for the camera to be in my face so I can take a picture of me.
No, it's the same. Well, I guess it's the same type kiosk that
Yeah.
you use for global entry because you slide your passport in there
Oh.
and then take a picture, and yeah, you have to squat.
One of the biggest things that you just talked about was like the frequent flyer programs. Like before you became a frequent flyer on that airline, where you were a frequent flyer but you had a number and you had 0 miles. It's basically not even like having a number. Your first flight is nothing. There's no nothings. There's no hey Mr. McGee, thank you for flying with us. There's no nothing like that. You're just a random person. You may get
Exactly.
water, you may not. You may get the seat by the bulkhead all the way in the back by the coffee machine.
Yeah, as far as the global entry and the frequent flyer programs go, you can actually add that to your profile, which you can add your global entry number to your different frequent flyer profiles.
Oh, okay.
And so like every time you check in, you're pre-TSA.
Right. Well, anytime I fly
you have like a
domestically,
known travel number.
anytime I fly domestically, I'm TSA pre-check. So anywhere, even between anywhere in North America, rather,
Yeah.
I'm a TSA pre-check. So if I'm just hopping, whether it's to Newfoundland or the trips to Vegas or whatever, they're all TSA pre-check. So you don't have to take your ID out. You don't have to take your shoes off.
Yeah.
So your arrival. So on your arrival into your destination or wherever you're going, like if it's tell me about some of the interesting things that you've gone through on some of your destinations, like arriving at the airports. Say like when you come through Burma the first time or Myanmar for the first time, and there's no such thing as a visa on arrival in Myanmar.
Yeah. Yeah, Myanmar was pretty interesting. I flew there for the first time, and they actually did have a visa on arrival, but it was really weird, and you basically had to get in this huge line, and there was probably 100 people in front of me. And I say line, it wasn't a line at all. It was people just scattered around this little booth there, and you had to pay $50 US, and we had the paperwork from the agent. So you gave once you finally made it up to the front after like an hour.
Right, but if the agent wasn't there and you didn't have the paperwork from the agent, then you couldn't have got a visa on arrival.
No.
Right.
Right.
So that's the catch.
Oh yeah.
So there's got to be somebody in country
there had to be
waiting
a lot
on you.
of communication in
Right,
advance
right.
to arrange all that and coordinate.
Right. So you just don't fly into Myanmar. So it's not like Hawaii. You just can't just like hop into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the funny thing about that was the Myanmar, the government officials there, they would only take like a crisp $50 bill, $50 US.
A crisp $50 US bill. So they wouldn't take like 2 20s and a 10.
No.
It had to be a crisp of 50.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, if you just stood there for an hour, they would eventually take it. But, I mean, so we knew that ahead of time, because I think John or some other people flew up there before us.
Yeah.
So that spread around the crew and our team, our onshore team, pretty quickly. So we knew ahead of time, but
Yeah, I remember doing the same thing. I actually put that whenever I was coming through the first round, I actually put that $1 $50 bill inside of a magazine
Yeah.
to keep it straight. And I was thinking how odd this is, because I honestly, I think maybe once or twice in my life I've even had a 50.
Yeah.
So I don't know, why would you carry a 50? I mean, there's no, it's just not normal. When you break 100, it all goes into 20s and that's it. You know, there's no such thing as a 50.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were some other people there that, I mean, just about every time I flew in there, you could see people stand up there complaining and
Because they had some
almost
20s
crying because they didn't have a crisp $50 bill.
All right, well, hey man, I appreciate your interview. Thanks for your time. I'll let you get back to your oh so steady work there.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thanks, man. So in the days prior of you departing for your trip, you may want to call your cellular provider to see if they offer any packages that cover the area where you may be going. If they don't cover that area, maybe they can offer some kind of a discount on voice and data in that area so that you can at least connect to make calls and send mails in case you get into any kind of an issue. It's worth the money to add the package, trust me. The one time you can access a phone to try and get in touch with someone about your situation, you will think back to this and go, yep, he was right. So just, check on that before you leave. Alternatively, you can download a VoIP or voice over internet protocol such as Skype and set yourself a number or pay a small price for some minutes and use these rather than using the ones that are provided to you from your cellular provider. If you have data, the calling minutes with these services will always be cheaper than your cellular provider. So do a little bit of research and find the product that works for you. Later on, we will do another podcast on the use of any VoIP overseas and how to set these up and make the best use possible out of them. So from my side, I've always found it extremely helpful to know about the place that I'm traveling, either by people that are currently there or by browsing the internet to look for any helpful information. Being prepared for most situations will keep you from being stranded, hungry, in the sun, or without rooms or a ride to and from your A's to B's. You want to make sure that there's not a large amount of civil unrest in that area. You can go check out the hotspot maps on the internet and educate yourself about the place you're going. You want to get a ride to the airport. If you're departing from an international airport, especially if you work long hitches such as 28 days, 35 days, etc., the parking will be in excess of $250 to $300. This is for open parking. Covered will be more. So that's actually cheap in comparison to the actual airport parking. If you park at the airport, it'll be $500 or $600 easily. When you get ready to leave the airport, the first thing you're going to do is fork over a ton of cash to park your vehicle. So if you live in a bigger city with an international airport, you can normally find some limousine, transport or limousine services, nice cars at flat rates going to the airport. Normally these are around $75 or $80 for the trip. So round trip of $180 max, and you don't have to drive coming or going. So that's a plus. If you live in a town with a regional airport, it's almost a no-brainer to just have someone drop you for it. But if you live in a rural area, sometimes you will have to still drive a good distance to get to an airport that you can depart from. Sometimes it's almost better to just drive to a larger city with an international airport due to the check-in time, wait time, and the connection time. You could have driven there and saved a bit of time with the family, as well as some time sitting in an airport waiting on a connection. It's some of these you just have to make sure that you've run the full trap on and look through everything, and don't take the itinerary for what it is, and just do the research on your own. We spoke a bit about the frequent flyer miles earlier, or the programs rather. So once you get to a certain level with these mileage programs, you can bring more baggage. This includes additional carry-ons such as 2 additional carry-ons plus a personal article. But until then, you are regulated to a certain size and a weight you can bring. You're also regulated on how much weight can be checked in that bag. Some places you have to pay an additional fee to check these heavy bags. So don't be surprised when you throw that 75-pound bag up there, and you get charged an extra $100 at your airline service provider. You most likely won't be able to check in prior to arriving to the airport. They will need to check your passport to make sure you have a visa, as well as a letter stating your position with the company, as well as what you'll be doing while in that country. Also, do not pack medicine that you may need for the following week in your check bag. Please make sure that this is in your carry-on with your prescription, so that you don't take the chance on losing your check bag while being away from home for a month or more. If you decide to just go with a backpack or a carry-on, then make sure you have enough gear to get you through being held up in an airport for a few days. I've been doing this for a while now, and have only been through one or two really long layovers. But you can never tell, especially if you're traveling in the northern hemisphere. I still check a bag due to the volume of electronics I bring back and forth every trip. If you don't put some of this into a check bag, you'll be taking it in and out of your backpack or rollaway for multiple stops. It does get a bit bothersome. When I pack, I normally use what's called the roll and tuck method, as well as inserting items such as additional toothbrushes or anything that may be strayed into items that have been rolled. Figuring out how to save space in your roll-on, but being mindful of the single carry-on bag weight. Got to kind of balance that. So, ladies and gents, you do not want to check a duffel bag, especially if there's anything in there of importance. It will get smashed into the smallest possible place in the luggage hold. It will also be tossed about and possibly used to prop open doors, and whatever you had inside will be just be a bit short of trash when you get it back. It'll look like it went on a worldwide tour with the Rolling Stones. You may also want to secure the zippers of your suitcases with a lock of some sort. I've used zip ties, as they're easier to sacrifice than continually replacing locks. Most commonly, if you pack a large electronic item in your bag, it will more than likely get opened and searched. All this zip tie or lock does is deter the common person from wanting to be curious and look in your bag. If it gets opened and searched, that's one thing. Can't really control that, but you can control the guy that just wants to open up the zipper and have a go at what you have in your bag. So, check those connection places and the weather in those places you'll be transiting through. I was stuck 4 years ago in Paris in the winter with no long sleeves. So yes, please check. It wasn't a great layover. There are not very many places in Paris that sell long sleeves in the airport when you're 6'2". So yeah, you want to check the weather, unless you like being cold. Most international flights will provide 2 meals and a dinner. Well, 2 meals, a dinner, and a breakfast just before you land. So it won't be anything super fantastic, but it'll be enough to keep your stomach from thinking your throat's been cut for a duration of the flight. So sit back, relax, watch a few movies, and take a nap. Make sure you get up and move around and stretch during these long trips. There's a common condition with people as they sit still for very long periods of time called DVT, or deep vein thrombosis. DVT can develop if you have certain medical conditions that affect that affect how your blood clots. So deep vein thrombosis can also happen if you don't move around for a long time, such as after surgery, following an accident, or when you're confined to a hospital or nursing home bed. So you want to make sure that you get up and stretch and move around, walk up and down the aisles, just stand and have a coffee or a glass of water, and have some chat with the stewardess or the flight attendants. It's you'll feel better when you get off the plane. If you've laid in that position for a very long period of time, it's not good on your body. So yeah, get up and stretch. If your plane is on time arriving to your connection, then you should have no issue making it to your next gate. But if you are either behind schedule or you know for a fact that you're going to miss that connection, do not try and go to the gate. Make your way to the closest airline assistance desk from which your ticket was issued. They will assist you in rebooking your flight or giving you some options to choose from. If it was the flight provider's issue for the missed connection and they do not have an option soon enough for you to depart, they should issue you a hotel voucher that so you at least you'll be able to get some sleep while you're waiting on your new flight. If they don't offer it, ask for it. The reason I say The reason I say to do this versus someone else doing it, because of the time difference you'll be facing. If your company has a 24-hour travel agent, then that's fantastic. But this info is being passed on because at one point in time, someone has been stranded and could not get through on the telephone for the flights to be rebooked. So just in case they will not give you the hotel room voucher, you need to carry enough cash with you to be able to book a room and get you some meals while you wait. Some places don't take Visa. Some don't take MasterCard. Some don't take Diners Club. So some don't take American Express. Most large countries will have a place that you can exchange your home denomination for some local currency. You can check the exchange rates and make sure they do not short you on the return. So take out that fancy super phone that you have and convert the cost with a simple currency conversion app. Make sure you let the rig or your contact and your final destination know that you have missed the connection and you will not be arriving at your prior allotted time. This keeps the people on the ground from wondering where you are and also gives you the ability to reschedule your pickup and accommodations for your new arrival. If it's a long layover, look at the airport before you depart your prior location. There's no reason to have to be that person on the bench in front of your gate for 4 hours before it opens with your head on your backpack trying to sleep. Find a lounge and just pay for the entrance fee so that you can get some rest. It'll be worth it. You can search the internet for programs that'll give you a membership to certain lounges around the world. They range from $300 to $500 yearly. If you do the math, it comes down to about $50 a trip times 2, coming and going. So don't be that person on that hard bench sleeping. If you're in the lounge, set your alarm 30 minutes before your flight gets ready to board, not depart, before it gets ready to board. Do not miss that flight. You will have to pay for that flight change fee and possibly any other fee due to your sleepiness. Upon landing in some countries, be prepared to show them your vaccination cards. Just slip it into your passport and leave it there. You won't normally need this other than to renew the dates when getting updates. But the one time you forget it and won't be allowed to enter the country, it will suck very, very bad. Do not have available cash in your wallet or on hand when you're taking out your passport. Leave it in your bag in a secure location. If they ask you for money, you do not have to give them any money. If you feel like tipping someone, it may be better to just wait a few trips until you know the environment and the people. People get mugged in some places for being careless. Make sure you secure yourself to the maximum ability. Just remember that regardless what you say, make sure that you keep a pleasant disposition during the transit through the airport. If you do not have a pickup scheduled on your arrival, they won't have Uber in most of these places. So be prepared to get a taxi. A taxi you won't know the cost of until you get to your location. It helps to make sure that you have this planned in advance due to having no local currency available to pay for the drivers. And there most likely won't be an ATM at the airport. Once you make your first trip, you take and put some of that local currency back in your carry-on bag and leave it there. On your return, when you're faced with potentially the same situation, you'll be able to pay the taxi or the transport driver with something other than a smile. None of these countries that you're traveling to work or from work are set up for tourism, so your ability to access certain creature comforts will be slim to none. They will accept most widely used currencies such as pounds or US dollars. Just make sure you have some small bills, as you will not get any change back at all. It's just they don't keep that kind of change on them. I'm sure you can understand. If you're flying to an offshore location, once you've arrived to your international destination, it's best not to buy anything to take offshore that you cannot go through an airport with. So no stopping at the random gift shops or stores, etc., to take anything with you offshore. If you like to buy souvenirs and things of this sort, you can please wait to get them on your return in before you fly out of the country. When you step out of the airport, make sure not to let people touch your bags. Don't let them carry your bags or offer any services for your baggage. They will take your things while you're trying to get situated with the car. Your bags are making their way to someone else's car, and there won't be much you can do about it other than report it to the local authorities. And then when you do that, there's a chance if anything is recovered, it will cost you money to get it back. So best thing to do is not let anyone touch your belongings except for you. You want to avoid the local authorities at all costs. They are not your friends. They are underpaid and, just like most of the population, very hungry and will see opportunity at every chance. If you're overnighting in a town prior to departing to the rig the next morning, make sure that you check on how the billing of the hotel is set up. As far as food and non-alcoholic drinks are mostly taken care of by the employer, and the alcoholic beverages are usually split from the tab and paid separately. So guys and girls out there, do your rig manager a favor and don't try to run some booze over on him. At the end of the day, the finance team will be knocking on his door with a receipt showing that it's not a company paid item, and he will have to pay for it and take it back out of your check later on. Please have just a bit of respect. I'm sure he'll come to wherever you are and buy you a drink or two to save from the hassle of the paperwork. Trust me. If you plan on going out once you've arrived and there are no restrictions, make sure you carry your passport on you and possibly a small amount of local currency. You may ask the hotel that you are staying in if they can exchange it for you or know someone that can exchange it for you while you're waiting. Don't draw attention to yourself. You're already a foreigner, and depending on where you are going, they may not like to see you there or have you there. So always be mindful of your surroundings and make sure you don't go with people that you don't know, and stay with groups as much as possible. Basically like going on a field trip whenever you was in elementary school. When you're paying for goods, make sure to only take out what you need to pay for the bill. Don't flash large amounts of money. Make sure to be on time for your pickup for the transportation to either the heliport or the boat dock the next morning. If you're late, you have a possibility of getting left. It will also make everyone else late if you stay and wait for you. Be timely. There will be a security check at the heliport or the dock depending on where you are departing. Be prepared to log your computer and hand over your mobile phones while checking in so they can make sure they're secure and logged. This is not super prominent in most places, but a few places in West Africa are starting to move toward this type of security. Of course, they will give it back to you after you've checked in. So, the international travel has a lot of wonderful things that comes with it. You meet many people. There's a sense of that you've of accomplishment when you're working overseas after you've been domestic for a while. The people that you'll meet will be very interested in who you are and a bunch of things that you do. So as I come to a close here with episode 5, please take your personal safety into account anywhere that you are traveling, especially in places that you've never been before. So be safe. Thanks for your time today, and thanks for listening. This episode has been recorded and will be on our website for your listening pleasure in the next 24 hours. As always, listen and live loud.